tiles misaligned on the 32 pixel grid could cause memory leak, or worse. Address this. It was never addressed. Oh, you would like a memory leak in your project? Let me get you one real quick. There you go. There you go. There's your memory leak. Oh my god. Well, at least I never placed any tiles outside of the 32 pixel grid. Wanna see something cool? Remember those crystals? Yeah, you know, the ones that you go to and then you touch them and they go psh. Let's find one. This thing. You touch it and it goes. And then it crumbles and it gets like all crumbly and the particles come flying out of the different bits. You wanna see something cool? Here's the code. Oh, it actually stops doing the syntax. Let me make it a little bit clearer what this really is. And we word wrap. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what does this. That's why the particles spawn the way they do. All of the positions are hard-coded. Now, why the fuck would I ever do this? I don't think there's any other way. I think that Godot users are blessed for having this feature in particle systems that make it so that you can take a sprite and then you can generate a mask on which your particle systems can spawn the particles. But maybe even that wouldn't be enough for this. You see, in order to get this effect, I wrote a Godot program that, I think this is the actual code for it here, that goes through every pixel of this texture and then it creates a sort of and it creates a mask for this. It creates this texture right here, and then it finds all of the different points at which particles should spawn, and then it spits out this GML code. And then I can paste it into my project and it creates that cool effect. I'm very happy with this, by the way. Everything's that's just so So yeah, this is Penis 2. This is my stage for CN 2.5, and it's quite something. I wrote the most code I have ever written for anything in this project. I think I wrote about I think 10,000 lines of code in this project are mine. And then another 10,000 come from the fact that I'm using Tween GMS. But yeah, I wanted to make this video because I wanted to talk about some of the technical stuff that I implemented in this project. like this map screen that follows you around as you walk. And it has different objectives too, which is pretty neat. And it reacts to dialogue boxes. So whenever one pops up, your view will never be obstructed. Let's move myself here so you can see the cool effect I created for gaining an objective. Ooh, yeah. I think that's pretty cool. But the way it's made is not that cool. You see, GameMaker doesn't actually have any way you can tell room, like you can't really tell where any room is at any point in the game. It doesn't have something nice like room get X or room get width. God forbid. So instead, you just have to, you know, code those values in yourself. You can't just open the room editor and stitch together a bunch of these rooms like, okay, now I'm done making my first level. Now I want to be able to see that my second level is actually properly connected to my first level. But no, there is nothing like that. Dude, this would be so nice. Imagine if you could just go into the room editor and like... Even new GameMaker versions don't have this. I don't get it. I really don't. I really don't get it. So instead, what I decided to do is to have a script that I call inside of every room. You know, some people prefer to do it this way. Some people prefer to literally place objects in the corners of the rooms. Like, for example, like if we were to place a lot of people do this. I have a camera now. I gotta place the camera in every room. That's not great. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So as a matter of fact, I don't like placing my blocks manually. What I like doing is I like literally checking tiles and then place blocks on top of those if need be. I don't want to have to change my tiles and then change the blocks on top of those. So in addition to my camera, that would have to be another object. And then, I mean, I have the background here. That one gets more and more distorted as you walk further out. It changes the way it animates, you know? It gets pretty much more drawn out, more fucked up as you go. Like here you can see it's been stretched pretty much across the whole screen. And these little entities that you see from like every now and then. I don't know. Let's see if we can catch one. Yeah, these guys, they become more frequent as you move out in the world. Imagine how many objects I'd have to place every single time I wanted to do that. That'd be so annoying. So instead I got this room start script. And I passed the position of the room. So let's say for this first room that I went through, it would be 1, 1. And that's because this room is 0, 0 on the map. This room is 1, 1 on the map. And so the room would be here. You can see, so this would be like what? 6, 1, I think. Then 7, 1, I think. Yeah, but so that way I don't have to, you know, manually place the background object and then delete it again every time I wanted to change something or move it out of the way. I hate the fact that GameMaker doesn't have, like old GameMaker doesn't have layers. That complicates things so much. But at least this workaround is pretty pain-free. Like if we go into the script, you can see that the code is... Oh god. Oh shit. There's actually quite a lot that I set up in this script, huh? Like... The world? Yeah, that's right. This stage has its own world object. And, it has, I mean, it seems like it has its own save values that it manages, somehow. Out of bounds check? Interesting. Does some stuff to the HUD, which is, I think the HUD is actually all of this. Just makes sure that it's visible at all times. I don't know why I need to do that. I don't think there's any point where it's not visible. Or is it? I forget. The world border? Oh yeah. By the way, this is the world border. It teleports you. Oh shit. Right. I don't think anyone's actually seen this yet. This is the winter forest. This is a generated version of the world. It even takes rooms outside of the rooms into account. So if I walked the outside of a certain radius here, you can see that there's some stuff next to this room that you otherwise like. I walked partially into this room just now. Actually, this brings me to another point, right? So I wanna make it as easy for myself as possible to create this world that I have in mind. And make it seamless. Make it nice, you know? For example, in this room, you know, the block here, these are two separate rooms. This is P2 Intro 07. This is P2 Slug Tiling Test O. This block is here. But guess what? If I go into here, this block is in fact not here. And if I go to Tiling Test 0, this block is not here. How does it know to place that block is there? How does that block get there? Well, I've made a little system that makes it so that I can never get into... I can never move into a room if there's blocks around the perimeter of it. So I will never phase into a block and just get perma-stuck, like you would if you just decide to do this by hand. But that means, okay, so I place blocks using my room start code. Like, let's see here, tile, I think it's called tile map blocker. This thing, the only thing it does, really. Okay, I was lying, it does a little bit more, but O block? OBJ block? Wait, does it not? Does it not put tiles upon blocks? I mean, blocks upon tiles? What about this? Blocker internal tile add from... what? Blocker internal... Okay, I have clearly forgotten a little bit about how this works. Outside tiles top. Oh yeah, this is how... this is some sort of check to see... to do the outsides of the room. But if we go all the way into this script, you can see that it does call instance create obj block. And the condition for this being called is that the tile exists. So we have figured out the mystery of how I can, you know, place blocks on top of tiles automatically without having to do so manually. But how do I place blocks on top of tiles in rooms that are not even loaded? Well, let me just go into back into the room start script here. And you see this P2 data collector? Well, let me just boot up the game again. This is so stupid. This is really dumb. If I boot up the game again, and you pay close attention, I click through the menu. I'm about to hit load game. Now, I'm gonna hit load game. There was lag. Why was there lag? Should be instant. I'm just going to a room. There's no loading times, are there? Well, here's the thing about that. In that little time span that it took for the game to load, I have collected all of the information about all of the tiles in every single room in the game. In that little time that it took for it to load, I literally went room go to, this room, 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 like all of these, or at least most of them. And I went, okay. So, I can see where the position of the room is based on these globals here that are set when this room start script is called, which it is. I can see that the data collector exists. So this script is not going to keep going from this point onward if the data collector exists. The data collector goes through the different tile depths, or I think just one maybe. And it goes through every single position that a tile could be in on a 32 pixel grid. Tiles misaligned on the 32 pixel grid could cross a Memory Leak or worse. Address this. Well, I don't need to address that because I don't place any tiles on the not 32 pixel grid. But here it is, right? I plonk all of the tiles into a big DS grid. I actually used it, no wait, a DS list. But also a DS grid? Yeah, you can see here by the accessor. So I'm also using a DS grid, and all of this goes into global P2 tile map. So if I access this, I can check outside of the room if there are tiles there and automatically place blocks on top of those. You know, this map is not small. This map is quite big. It would be a nightmare to manually connect all of these rooms and always make sure that everything's, you know, in its right place. Like, look at all this shit. I would go insane if I had to do that. You know, even like if we like I would just die. I would just die. It would not be good. Yeah, I mean, and look at all the edge cases too. I mean, shit, man. So it's really a lifesaver to have this system in place. It made my life a lot easier. Thank God. Thank God for that. But I also do other things with this information. This tile information. Like when the strange entities called corruption slugs zoom past the screen, they actually change tiles slightly outside of the perimeter of the current room. And these changes, and of course also the ones that are inside of the room, these changes, they are persistent. You see, this got changed into a block just now, this tile over here. If I load back into the game, that's still there. Why? Right? That's an ungodly amount of data. How does this get saved fast, you know? If you were to just do the naive approach, which is to create a DS map and then put everything into there and then use this god-awful function, JSON encode, it would take so much time to load it. It would create a massive lag spike. But the lag spike at the start of the game here is somewhat acceptable. Well, if we go to the binary file, oops, real quick, you can see it's just about half a megabyte almost. This is all of the tile data in the entire game, or in the entire stage rather. How is it so small? How is it just a few kilobytes? Well, I'm not using JSON. I'm using binary. Let's see. What was that function again? I think it's scrp to save data. Yeah. I'm using buffer write. And also buffer write string sometime. I'm saving a few things. And I was pretty worried about how long this would actually take to do, you know, in terms of lag spikes, not in terms of how long it would take to code it or anything like that. I wanted to make sure that it's pretty hard to tell, you know, that when you boot out of the game, you shouldn't notice that it saves all of your shit. I don't want this huge lag spike. So if I press F2 now, it says here, saved rooms. It took 48 nanoseconds to save the rooms on the map. It took 30,000 nanoseconds to save all of the tile data in every room. And it took 900 nanoseconds-ish to write everything to a file, I think? I think that's what this is doing. Yeah, buffer save is what it does. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it does here. And so, especially going out of the game is not that bad, but going into it takes a little bit longer. You can see here, loading tiles, 35,000. I guess that's not that bad. But it does feel like it takes a little bit longer. And I think that's not actually because of this data read. That's literally because I'm going through every single room of the game and collecting the data. I think that's why that lag spike is there, not because of the actual data stuff. But it would have been way worse if I had used JSON for this. Now, luckily, I will never have to update this data format, so there will never be any versioning issues with this. But usually you would want to include some way to tell an old version of a binary format from a new one. But this stage was made once, and once was good enough, so I didn't have to do any versioning stuff. But let me tell you, I do some kooky stuff with this data. So let's actually go down into hell and find the wrench. I don't know if I can actually find this. I don't know if I'll be able to do this. Okay, that's a good start. Oh shit. I have the Dvorak layout, so I restart easily without I pause when I don't mean to. Let's actually go this way. This way is the easiest, and I think this is the one that most people take. Oh, that's insane. Oh, there's the wrench. I'm just gonna skip to it. So, you can imagine what it would be like to navigate the world of P2 if the borders of the rooms were set manually. But with the functionality of being able to walk into tiles, it would not even be it wouldn't be possible to do this stuff. Wait, hold on. You know? I need to know exactly what tiles are facing in what direction and everything, to be able to tell whether the player should be able to screen wrap, whether the player should be able to move into a different room, because the entrances can change. One of those slugs outside of the room can change tiles outside that essentially make it so that you can't that you can suddenly start walking there. Like, let's say the slugs change the tiles so that they're connected to this pipe. All of a sudden, if this room wasn't set up the way it was, you would be able to walk from here through here and then into this pipe, and then all of a sudden you have access to this level. Like, you can randomly have that happen to you. So I essentially had to make that blocking feature, and it works nicely, but only after a lot of tinkering. But something I also do with that exact data. So let me just pull this up. So you see how this is one room? And this is a separate room? Because I have this, so I wanted to add these. I wanted to add these hallucination sequences where the player hallucinates being in a forest instead of being in whatever this concrete hell is. Mega Man factory tiles that are dirty and corrupt and dull. Right? So I created this. I wanted the player to be able to have a free cam during these segments. And as you can see, the camera can be moved into the next room here. So this is like, I've gone from this room to this room now, and you can see the room down here is actually let's just, yeah. The room down there is actually, let's see here. No escape. It's actually this room. And this room is below this room. So somehow these rooms are now stitched together in this forest room. It's very weird, right? And if we actually go into the forest room, we go into forest hallucination. Actually, yeah, forest hallucination. That's the room you're taken to when you trigger this thing. And you spawn here, and the reason I have to put these grass blocks into this room is because they need to match this formation. But other than that, everything is placed according to the global tile map. So all of these tiles become grass blocks or leaf blocks that you can munch on and destroy. And then all of these tiles become solid blocks. And that means also that if one of those slugs were to change some of these tiles, into these tiles, you would be able to munch on them in the forest version of the world. That opens up some interesting possibilities that I haven't explored, and potential gameplay between, like, you know, changing between worlds. But essentially, the way I do this, P2 forest generator, I think that's it. The way I do this is by initiating forest generation. Forest generation duration. Interesting. I create this object and I tell it, okay, you need to collect this area of tiles from global P2 tile map. And then when you're done collecting all of that information, let's see here. So let's see. Well, I made a custom trigger object. This is all it is. You can set a function to be called when the player enters an area and when the player exits an area. I don't actually know if I use the exit one ever. But let's see an example where this is used. I think I know where. Yeah, here. obj p2 trigger. So it checks if the forest has already been hallucinated, and if it is, then it will destroy itself. But if not, it will pass it this function to be called whenever this area is entered. I actually think that I do something here. Random set seed? What the fuck? Oh my god. I don't even want to look at this. This is scary. Oh, right, it's actually stretched. Yeah. So, right. You have this thing that can do things when it's, you know, when it's touched. But if you want that thing to do more than one thing when it's touched, it can't actually do that. It can only do one thing, and that is script execute one script. So I kind of mimicked what I saw in Godot with areas, and areas are exactly this thing, but infinitely better, because you can set them to do multiple things whenever you need to. And that's really nice. That helps a lot. But here it's just like, okay, well, I need this thing to happen. And this thing also has a callback. So that's going to do that. So if we go into this thing, and this thing has a callback. So it's going to do this. And then finally, after looking through 4 scripts, you've gotten kind of somewhat close to remembering what it's actually doing. But every single time I wanted to do this callback shit, I just re-implemented it. So, like, you got this code for executing a script in my trigger object, but this exact code you can pretty much find in, let's see here, obj p2 forest go to safe. If script exists, script execute. If script exists, script execute. Same with let's see here, Same with the forest generator. Forest generator. Script exists. Script execute. And I just do this over and over and over again. And while doing this, I start thinking to myself, is this good at all? Is this worth it? Does this suck? I mean, when you have enough of these, it certainly makes it pretty hard to tell what anything is doing, because anything could do anything, you know? With the P2 trigger object, I mean, it's pretty much self-evident that it's gonna do anything. You can see that in the room editor, but I mean, you're not gonna be able to guess that it's gonna spawn an object that's then gonna do something weird, and then that's gonna spawn an object that's gonna do something weird, and then that's gonna spawn an object that's gonna do something weird. That's a chain of weirdnesses right there. I think, despite all of these strangenesses, I think that my stage has been relatively bug-free, somehow. And I think I can only be happy about my programming prowess, because that's what's allowed it to function at the end of the day. You know, I'm not like a super pattern programming type guy, you know? So I don't do all of the best practice shit that so many people preach. I'll do state. I'll do a state pattern here and there, you know? But shit, man. If I don't have a really good reason to do otherwise, I will just do this. Over and over again until it hurts. I mean, maybe it's good. I think as a last thing I could do is to look at some of my to-dos. And holy shit, I only have a few of them. Wait, is that real? To-do. Oh, here we go. Let's read some of these. Oh shit. Tiles misaligned on the 32 pixel grid could cause memory leak, or worse. Address this. It was never addressed. It was never addressed. Oh, you would like a memory leak in your project? Let me get you one real quick. There you go. There you go. There's your memory leak. Oh my god. Well, at least I never placed any tiles outside of the 32 pixel grid. I think the same thing would have happened too if I stretched a tile. But hey, the Game Maker Studio tile editor is awful, so I would never do that, right? Right? Oh my god. Well, at the end of the day, I'm fairly proud of what I made. Check out how many shaders I wrote. Wow. Alright, I think that's enough.